Terrific.
Progress.
All right.
Recipe with a history. The mysterious carrot ring recipe. When we were children, we often visited our Aunt Lil's home for dinner. She always served her carrot ring, which everyone loved. Through the years, each of the women of the family had asked her for her recipe, but she always had an excuse and never shared with anyone. One day, our mother, Bess Goldstein, and our aunt, Joan Goldstein, decided to get that recipe. Mother kept Aunt Lil busy talking in the living room, while Aunt Joan copied the recipe in the kitchen. That week, they typed the recipe and then made copies to share with everyone they knew. Of course, they never served it when Aunt Lil was invited to their homes. Now, we'd like to share it with you and everyone you know. Carrot ring recipe.
Oh. Yes. I love it.
Sharing it?
Oh, I love to share it.
Oh, you want to read it out? Read out. What's the ingredients?
Oh, you kidding?
Yes. I'm
Sounds
kidding. I'm serious. It's
1.5 cups of shortening. We use butter. Cup of brown sugar packed, 4 eggs separated, 3 cups of raw carrots. Wash well. You don't have to peel them. 2 cups of flour, tablespoon of cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 tablespoons of cold water. Set the oven to 350, grease and flour 2 ring molds. Cream the shortening and the brown sugar, add the 4 beaten egg yolks, blend. Add carrots, flour, cinnamon, and lemon juice, blend. In a little cup, mix the baking soda, baking powder, and water until foaming. Then add to the mixture. Beat the egg whites until they form stiff peaks. Fold gently into the mixture. Pour into prepared pans and bake for 45 minutes. At 40 minutes, begin to test with a toothpick. It should come out clean. Turn out of the pans and fill the center of the ring with peas or green beans for good color. Serve immediately. With love, Nikki Cassell.
That's officially on record. And
And name.
you know, it's funny. I had an Aunt Lil as well. And the one
Lil Epstein?
no, last name is Tell.
No.
So, but I remember the one thing I remember enjoying at her house, and I never liked soda, but chocolate soda with milk. I think I drank, I don't know how many things of it at her house, but that was the one takeaway I came back from my Aunt Lil and food. So, does anybody else here have a story or something they want to share? Anybody online?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, does anybody have anything online? Otherwise, I do have my own story. So, Margie, did you wanna?
You want me to share my story about food? It's not about cooking because it's not about being a great cook, but it's my most favorite fond memory growing up. So when I was in like 5th grade at my school, I walked back and forth to school. It was in the neighborhood. But if you could go home for lunch, you could change to pants in the afternoon. Like you had to wear a dress in the morning, but in the afternoon you could change to a pair of pants. So my mom was a teacher, so she was not going to be able to help me out in the endeavor of wearing pants in the afternoon. My father was a pharmacist, and so he went ahead and changed his entire schedule so that he could be home at lunch for me, which was a huge, sacrifice. I'm sure it didn't help my parents' marriage too much because my father then didn't get home until 10 or 11 o'clock at night. But he did that solely so that I could go to school with pants in the afternoon. And so he made me lunch every day. And what he did was I would come home and there would be a little TV table right in front of the television, and I would watch first Bewitched and then I Dream of Jeannie reruns. And he would, I don't know if people remember these, but the Swanson frozen dinners. So he would make me a Swanson frozen dinner every day for lunch. I'm sure my sodium was probably off the charts. And it was either the turkey and stuffing or the fried chicken. And I always liked the fried chicken because it had that little, like, I don't know if people remember, but that had that little like chocolate cake in the middle. So when you would get the fried chicken, you would get the little chocolate cake. And so it is really my fondest memory of food because it's something that I think about often when, you think about your parents and the sacrifices they made for you. Sometimes they make very big sacrifices, and sometimes they make little sacrifices like that for you that you will remember. My father's been dead for over almost 35 years, and I can still remember those lunches as if they happened yesterday. So that's my story.
Thank you.
I love that. Thank you, Margie. Okay, I know.
Can you screen share?
Oh, yes. Who is that?
Beverly
Okay,
Dykeman?
hold on. Yes, I can definitely screen share. I just have to, oh, there you are. You don't have a picture. We don't
No.
see you.
No?
Why are we, hold on, what happened here? Why are we, that's weird. Hold on a second. Let me, I can do it from here. Margie, can you screen share for some reason? Can you spotlight her? Because for some reason I can't do it from here. I don't know why.
What it's letting me do is it's letting me pin her. So you could pin her. I can't do anything. That's the best I can do is I pinned her.
Okay, you're pinned.
What does pinned mean?
Well,
Well-
but that's only for this screen.
Right, but the thing about it is Beverly, all we see is a B. We don't see, if you want to show us your face, we don't see that. So we are sort of like showing a B. That's all we see.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Okay, so go ahead. Why don't you tell your story?
Well, as I'm listening to you, going out into my Three Seasons room up here in New Hampshire, in the middle of the snow, I found grapefruit and tangerine peels drying. And if I can show you an image that I took, I'm trying to figure out how to do it here. Hold on.
So it looks like you
Share.
have your.
There we go.
Yeah.
Share. Okay.
No,
And
you
then-
have to, we don't see your video. We don't see anything.
No, that's okay. It says only the host can share, so you have to undo it. So,
I can make you a host,
yeah, just for a second.
a co-host, but.
Show
I
you the
think-
picture that I took, yeah. Because photography is one of my hobbies. I just filled out the form for you and sent it electronically.
Okay,
Okay,
So
you should
I'm
be able,
ready.
I give rights to everyone to share the screen right now, so you should be able to share your screen.
okay.
Oh, right, hold on. Share, photo, and add. There you go.
We see it.
Go ahead.
So I have to do a writing to go along with the juicy, luscious looking tangerine peelings that are drying.
Okay.
And I have a story in Sweden. They actually make like a bracelet or a wreath by stringing them. And I haven't done that yet, but I have a lot of these, so I can really try. I often use these little peelings, just drop them in some water. It reconstitutes and makes an acid water, which helps to let something soak to clean later, to disinfect. If I had a garbage disposal, I could grind them up. It would smell wonderful. If I put them back into the oven, I could scent up the air, just like you could do with cinnamon, etc. And then I have a recipe for watermelon rind pickles. And if I'm going to unshare here, I go leave. Nope, I don't want to leave the whole thing. Oh, here, unshare. Okay.
I think it'd be very cool to see that necklace. That would be very cool.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start doing that because it's an idea that I saw. And then let me go back to here so that I can read a recipe that I came across in New Hampshire. We would often vacation at Hampton Beach every year because Warren's father did. And his father and mother always came. And so we kept the tradition going to the point where now we've moved up to Derry, which is 45 minutes to the west. And they have a free paper that you pick up. And every time that I would come for vacation for a good 34 years would be to do the crossword puzzle, except the answers were in the next week. Well, now I'm here and I can find all the answers that I want because I can weekly pick it up at the different food stores or post office.
What?
And in the September issue, they had quick pickle watermelon rind recipe. It makes a pint. And it's 2 cups of watermelon rind. And you add a cup of apple cider vinegar, 1 cup of water, half a cup of sugar, a teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 tablespoon black peppercorns, 1 cinnamon stick, 1 teaspoon whole cloves. When you buy a 1/4 of a small watermelon, because they sell pieces and you can see how much rind there is. You want one with a thick rind. So you cut out the watermelon flesh and save it for another use. Usually I just eat it right then and there. Using a knife, remove all of the green skin from the watermelon rind. Cut the rind into small bite-sized pieces, about a 1/2 inch size cubes. In a saucepan, combine the vinegar, water, sugar, salt, peppercorns, cinnamon sticks, and cloves. Bring to a boil over high heat. Once it begins boiling, stir occasionally until the sugar and salt are dissolved. Add watermelon rind and lower to a simmer. Cook, stirring occasionally until watermelon cubes are fork tender, about 8 minutes. Transfer and ride to either 1 pint jars or 2 half-pint jars. Top with priming liquid. Allowed to cool for an hour before sealing with lids. Refrigerate for at least 24 hours before serving. And I give all of the credit to Michelle Pescula Kugler, and who has a blog of thinktasty.com, where she suggests you can get more recipes. So that was in the July 13th to 19th Hippo, HIPPO, free newspaper in the column called Try This at Home. So I did. And since moving, I joined the Dairy Garden Club, and they sponsor the youth garden at the local Boys and Girls Club of Greater Derry. And it's middle school kids. They limit the amount of people so that we can have one-on-one, a lot of us working with them, feeding them a snack, something that relates to if we're doing honey and bees, we would have them tasting honey. And I was in charge of doing the herb presentation. In the garden, there were 4 quarters. You had herbs, vegetables, fruits, and flowers. So in the herb part, they had 16 different herb plants, which are perennial, and some go year to year, some volunteer into another spot, which is really fun. So what I did with the children was what I would often do as a health teacher, hands-on and interactive, and people helping people. And I had 4 baskets, 2 kids each basket, 4 baskets, and 4 herbs in each basket with an index card labeled with the different herb names, and usually 1 hard one with 3 easy ones. And I would have them work as a team to identify the card with the herb that was in that particular basket. Then when they were done, everybody switched and everyone got a chance to do all 4 baskets. At which time we left the little pine grove where our snack was in the shade, and we went into the garden. And then they could identify what they had already labeled in the garden with sticks and artwork saying lovage, chives, strawberries, whichever different plant or herb was there. And they had so much fun. It was the hit of the show. At the end, they said, "Can you pickle a potato?" In Maine, the first potato was a white potato, and it was farmed in a field nearby, which has the historic marker yet for me to find. And so they grew white potatoes, they harvested it, and they said, Mrs. Dykeman, I am, Beverly. And they said, "Can you pickle a potato?" So I said, "I don't know, let's give it a try." So I went home and tried different solutions. Part of it was the solution from this watermelon rind pickle left over, and just salt and water like a dill pickle would be. Add some dill, and I arrived at a culminating experience at the end of the season and passed them out. And I handed them a paper tissue also. And I said, I want you to try them. And if you like it, you can eat it. And if you don't need to. You can use the napkin. And most of us use the napkin. And we came to the conclusion that potatoes, if they're cooked and mashed, they could not be pickled. So you have to do a raw potato, and you can leave it for a long time or a little time, and it may be pickled, but is it edible? Like I said, most of us use the tissue. So it was fun working with the middle school kids. It was fun dressing myself to finding another recipe, because this watermelon rind recipe I had known from way back in New York as a 2-day process, or two-step process, where you take the cubes and put them in salty water and soak them. Then you rinse them. Then you put them into water. Then you make sure that they're translucent. Then you change the water, add the pickling spices, and sugar and vinegar, etc., and then cook it again. So this is a real quick way. Of course, coming up here, I did not have all of these spices available, hadn't gone to the store, and I just used what was in my pantry. And it was like ground cinnamon, ground allspice, because that is sort of like a substitute for me for the cinnamon and clove type flavors. And it was the hit of the show, so much that I have still another jar of pickles in the refrigerator waiting the next potluck to share. And oftentimes the garden club people did go to each other's gardens throughout the summer just for socializing, looking at their garden, getting a little tour, asking questions, and getting tips of how to do things, and maybe sharing a plant or two, so that the men of the ladies were invited. Some are members of the club, others are just husbands of, and they all sat around and looked forward every single time to my watermelon rind pickles. So I made sure I brought a little jar each time as they devoured them and enjoyed them. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I'll remember that next time I pickle something, make sure it's watermelon rind and not potato. So, perfect.
If you want
So,
that recipe, I can share it in the,
Yeah,
and you could do a screenshot.
you can send it to me at food@rssny.org. If it's
Okay.
okay with you, you have a short story about it. And then
I'll
if
pro-
I have permission to, possibly, I can't promise that everything goes in the book, but possibly have that. That
sure.
would be great. I love it.
Okay.
Next, Joan Hollander was the next one. She was going to read an essay for us. Joan, are you still there? And otherwise, I'll let Robert first and then Joan. Joan, are you there? Okay, hold on, Robert, and then when Joan comes back, she can read. Let me just,
Hello,
oh,
I'm
there
back.
she is, up in the nick of time.
All right, just 1 second. I'll be right back. I have to get my.
Can you put that email in the chat for me?
Yes, I can. I'll do that right now for anybody who wants to send me anything. I also have the form in there if anybody is thinking about it.
Hello, I'm back.
There you go. Okay, we're looking forward to hearing. Go ahead.
I have a very brief little kind of like a memoir to read. It's called Mama's Cooking Lesson. My mother was a naturally talented cook and baker. She never read a recipe, owned a cookbook, a measuring spoon or cup, a timer or thermometer. She cooked and baked by instinct and taste, and a glass or spoon to measure ingredients, and tasted her food for seasoning. When asked how long to cook something, her answer was, until it's done. Her heating measurements were a little fire, a medium fire, or a hot fire. She was in charge of the kitchen when she came to live with me at the age of 86. When a friend of mine had to be away overnight for a job-related meeting, we invited her husband to have dinner with us. He liked my mother's potted chicken so much that his wife called my mother, asking her how she prepared it. My mother told her what to do, and when asked how long to cook it, my mother thought, what a dumb question. You cook it until it's done. Well, how will I know when it's done? Asked my friend. Mama's answer was, I keep it on a low fire until Joan and her husband come home and are ready to eat. I never learned to cook and bake like she did, especially her yeast cakes and her stuffed cabbage, but I do remember how delicious everything was.
Thank you. All right, Robert,
You are next, so you can either stand there, you can stand in the front, it's depends, because I know you're very shy, so. But if you could just. There you go. You can stand here like I did to the side.
I wrote this poem, it's a little humorous, and I call it, Food Glorious Food, okay? Alright, food glorious food, whether raw, fried, baked, roasted, or stewed. It will be heartily eaten and carefully chewed, a variable bounty to be enjoyed in every county. There are vegetables of every color, size, and shape, just to keep your palate awake. And fruits just as variable and also so sweet, they could knock you off your feet. Do not hesitate to sample the meats that are each a wonderful treat, for example. And in every meal, a portion of starch is always on the march. On the menu, soup is always in the loop, as are the salads that to me sing ballads. A tasty dessert never can hurt. A nice glass of wine will taste simply divine. Whether you choose white or red, do not let it go to your head. And as for the bread, there are many shapes, kinds, and flavors for you to share with all of your neighbors. Fresh fruits and vegetables are best for everyone to request. Very spicy food is not so nicey. Very greasy food you should think about not eating twicey. Food that is deep fried will make your stomach cry aloud. When you are eating, be sure to be slowly chewing. You want to have a divorce from every very rich sauce. Do not eat salt. Stay aloof. It will raise your blood pressure through the roof. Do not eat sugar. It is too sweet. It will also cause diabetes and attack your body from your head to your feeties. So shop carefully and wisely at the grocery store. Only pick wholesome foods that you adore. No matter where you eat, fast food joint or luncheonette, always eat in moderation. It will be helpful for your proper digestion. Be careful eating, be careful overeating, because that will cause you to entertain pain. So whether at home, in a restaurant, bar, or grill, always enjoy your proper fill.
All right, anybody else have a story? Otherwise, I'll go into my story about. My story actually takes place when I was in high school. We had my father's cousin Leo and his wife Bee, who we were close by. Both of us lived in New Jersey. We all lived nearby each other. Unfortunately, at one point, Bee developed cancer. And my mother, she and my mother became very close. So what Bee decided was she wanted to take both families for dinner at Windows on the World in the World Trade Center. That was a wait, so she made the reservation with a waiting time of 4 months ahead of time. So we finally get to the day that we were supposed to all go to dinner. And of course, unfortunately, Bee was in the hospital. So my mother and I prepared. We got a large pocketbook for me, emptied it completely out and filled it with Ziploc bags. So this was a buffet. And so we went to the World Trade Center. Beautiful upstairs, nice buffet right nearby. I mean, you're looking out 104th floor. We're looking outside. There's a helicopter at eye level. So, you know, you're really tall, high up there. And I'm sitting there getting plates of food and looking around very carefully and going, and sticking it in my pocketbook. So by the time I was done, I think I had a sample of everything that I had on that buffet in the meal. But it was a lot of fun. It was a very memorable evening. The food was great, by the way, unfortunately. But that was my one and only time at the Windows on the World. And yes, Bea did get her entire sample. Leo brought it to her in the hospital the following day. But that to me is one of my more memorable moments with food.
And this is why, just to jump in for a second, why we want to do this book, why we want to capture, yes, we want to capture recipes, certainly, but really it's our emotional connection to food, like your story, the story I told about my dad. That's what we want to capture. This is all being done also because it's our 50th anniversary of RSS. So we really want to use it as an opportunity for us to remember the people in the lives that have been important to us. So when you think about, yes, I want to contribute something, it doesn't have to be a recipe. It doesn't have to be a poem. It doesn't have to be a picture. As a matter of fact, my story, April Lombardi, who's the art instructor, she's going to do a watercolor painting of my story. I guess it's me sitting in front of the TV. I have no idea, with fried chicken. But, just try and think as broadly as possible. Because I think all of us have some sort of connection or story about food that we've remembered our whole lives. So just think about that when you think about whether or not you want to contribute to the book.
So did you you're looking at around Mickey that
Mickey, I have a little quickie.
Oh, yeah, come on, Mickey's got another story. So let me
Very
just,
quick.
there we go.
okay, yeah, take your time.
So the savior, Judy to the rescue. Don't get up from the table until you finish everything on your plate, young lady. People are starving in Europe, she said, as she turned away to clear the table. All of the vegetables were still in front of me. Yuck, what will I do? Judy to the rescue. My big sister, 18 months older, quickly and quietly devoured the offenders. Always the savior.
That's funny. That reminds me, my mother was my aunt's savior. So she would very, which, considering my aunt kept insisting that my mother was adopted. I think my mother was a very nice person to be, the one who's very quietly eating all the vegetables. And my story in my house was my brother refused to eat vegetables. And I remember my mother telling me he had to sit there until he finished all of his peas. He couldn't stand the taste of them, so he swallowed them like vitamins. He said, "You didn't say I had to chew them. You just said I had to eat them." And so, he did manage to get the mission accomplished without, compromising his principles. So, anybody else have a quick story or something they want to talk about?
I have a poem.
Okay, all right, Carol, let me just spotlight you.
Okay. My poem's called Pickling Process. On Essex Street I stand, coins clenched tightly, threatening circular indents in my small, soft, eager palm. I watch intently as two men in damp-stained aprons behind large oak barrels, smelling of spice-laden juices, ladle, soak, sensually immerse, hands wet, rough, red. I am a gangly girl in a worn, thin t-shirt, jeans, cheap sneakers, my hair neatly woven in two tight braids, sits pressed against my scalp, snakes in hot sun, bathing on rocks, ready to strike. Life hasn't immersed me into the pickling process. I have not been baptized into the salt brine. Lessons have not bitten into my young cucumber skin. Tall, excited, hurrying people push past my lean body. Unlike full-chested women, dollars tucked into brassieres, I am invisible, ignored, not valued. Wishfully, I wait for a pause when I might dare to order one pickle, half sour, spending money stolen from beneath sofa cushions, dropped there by a father too tired to change worn clothes before lying down, shoes still on. A shameless thief, I shuffle left leg to right, wanting to join the crescendo of requests, an orchestra of poorly performing instruments, untuned, improvising competitive solos, supported only by clinking, clanking cash in a metal register's drawers. Patient, I wait hungry, a pigeon on a sidewalk hovering for crumbs. Finally, shoppers stripped of shekels retreat into Kosar's bagels, where men with flour-dusted hands admire ample breasts, lustily pack bialys into bags. Now Gus and his helper see my forlorn face, bow to me as if I am royalty, asking in peppery voices what they can do for such a fine lady. Flattered by the fullness of their attention, but not fooled, I hold out my stolen nickels, lift my head, straighten my shoulders, point to barrels of brine while inhaling desires, dreams. I yearn for transformation while biting hard, sinking teeth. Juice fills my mouth. The taste still there, even now.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I love the imagery. Yeah. So, all right, anybody else? Okay. All right, well, I think this is brilliant. Hope we have everybody who is inspired to, just share something if they'd like. And if not, hopefully we'll have fun. At 2 o'clock, well, at 1 o'clock, well, in-house, we'll have the tech, if anybody wants to share art. At 2 o'clock, we will have online and in person. Tamika is gonna show everybody how to decorate cupcakes. She used to have a bakery, baking, sort of sideline. So she actually has the piping bags and show the tips, and she's gonna show us how to create the icing and how to make our cupcakes beautiful. So anybody online, we will make sure that it's spotlighted so you can see what she's doing. In-house, you get to try it yourself. And then we have bingo at 3 o'clock. All right. So thank you so much for coming, guys. I appreciate it. This was brilliant. And we will see more of you this afternoon. So Jean, can I have your full name when you get a chance? We're good.
It was
See
great.
you at 1 or 2.
So Barbara, this starts back again at what time?
Or what?
This starts back again at what time?
The next one is at 2 o'clock.
Okay,
So same Zoom link.
thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
the
you.
creativity.
Oh, hi,
See you
this
in a
is
little bit.
hi, this is Jean. My last name is Huey, Huie.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. This was cute. This was horrible. Yes, you did.
Okay.
Oh,
So I'm just gonna sign out for now.